This is Victor with Excited Atom Designs. I'm going to do a simple box. It's a slotted box tutorial. This is a no glue build. So from your Illustrator open window, go ahead and create a new document. So in our new document window, we want to set it up for the size of the Glowforge board. You can see I already have mine set for 12 by 20. If you don't, go ahead and set it in. Let's go ahead and title this Simple Box. Go ahead and hit Create. Okay, so now we're looking at our board size, so that is 12 by 20. I'm going to go ahead and add my rulers. So under View, I'm going to go ahead and down to Rulers and Show Rulers. Now normally I would use keystrokes for everything, but for today's purposes I'm going to go ahead and use my cursor and show you where everything is. Alright, so rulers. Let's talk about rulers for a second. Rulers are important when you're working within your documents because they show you where on the board everything is placed. The other thing that rulers allow you to do is allow you to bring guides in. So if you click on the left ruler and drag, it will bring in a guide. Now, guides are non-printing elements. They're there for reference. You can make one from the top as well. You can have as many guides as you want on a page. I would suggest getting rid of them when you're done with them because otherwise it gets really confusing. So right now I don't have them locked, as you can see. You can lock them as well so they don't move. I don't have them locked so I can just highlight them and delete them. We don't need them right now. Alright, let's work on our box. Alright, so for my simple box, I know I want it to be 3 inches by 3 inches on the inside of the box. So I'm going to hit my rectangle tool. I'm going to come across. I'm going to click on my board. My rectangle dialog box comes up. I'm going to go ahead and make that 3 inches by 3 inches. Alright, it brings a rectangle or a square onto my screen. I also realize that it doesn't have a fill and it doesn't have a stroke. So what I want to do is add a fill to it. And I'm going to make it white. My stroke, I'm going to go ahead and use 0.25. Whenever I build anything in Illustrator, I always use 0.25 for my stroke because it's nice and small and it makes it a little easier to keep everything exact. The reason why I put a fill in is because if I wanted to move this box without a fill, I would have to move it from the path. With the fill, I can just click in the middle and move it. Alright? So clicking in the middle, let's go ahead and move this box up a little bit so we're on the top half of the board. This right now is the inside measurement of the box. So if I were to look down on this from above, this is the bottom of the box. Let's create some sides. Grabbing your rectangle tool, go ahead and click on the board anywhere. We know that the width of this base is 3, so I'm going to leave that alone for right now. The height is the height of the material. My material is MDF, and it's going to be at 0.119. Your material may be different. If you're using 1/8, 1/4, whatever you want to use, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and put that in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Alright, so it gave me a rectangle. I'm going to go grab my select tool. I'm going to take this rectangle and I'm going to move it to the top of this box. Now I have my smart guides set up so that when I move something, it tells me exactly where it is in relation to the other piece. I know now that this side is centered over this box. I want to drag it down until I see intersect. Once I let go, that bottom edge is now intersecting with that top edge, so I know it's lined up exactly. Again, if you don't have your Smart Guide set up, go under View and just click on Smart Guides. Alright, I'm going to zoom in now, so that's Command plus or Control plus. So if I click on this box, what it'll do, it'll bring up my handles. This is a bounding box, so it'll show me where I can resize or move this box. What I want to do now is I want to drag this box width out. So I'm going to drag it out from the middle. Holding down Option, if I drag holding down Option, you'll notice that the both and the left sides move out at the same rate. This is very handy when you're creating sides for something and you want to move out from the center. All right, I'm going to move them out to right about there. What I'm trying to do is create a space in this side where this side can then intersect it. All right, so I need to be able to have space for a slot. Normally when I create things, I like to create them so that the overhang past the slot is the same width as the material. But for today, I'm just going to leave it where it is. It's fine for what we're doing. All right, so we have one side done. Now what I want to do is create the other side. So I'm going to click on it. You can use Command C, Command V, and create a new copy. Take the copy and drag it down until you hit intersect with the bottom of the box, and then slide it across until you hit center. Again, smart guides are perfect for this. So that's using Command C, Command V. What I'm going to do is show you another way. If you click on the box and hold down Option and Shift and drag down, you'll notice that the cursor then becomes the Direct Select tool and the Select tool. And what it's doing is it's creating a copy. Also, holding down the Shift key allows it to only move up and down. I can't move side to side. Letting go, I've just created an exact copy of the one up above. Okay. Now we have the two sides here. Now what I want to do is I want to create the other two sides over here and over here. So I'm going to select both of these pieces. Again, holding down Option and Shift, and I'm going to drag them out. You'll notice that it created a copy and it put it on top of the other one. Whenever you make a copy of something in Illustrator, it will copy it on top of whatever you're working with. And that's kind of important later on. You want to make sure that for certain things that you're going to do that your copy is above the other piece. So now what I need to do is rotate these. I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees. Now, I could use my Properties palette. If your Properties palette is not open, you want to go up under Window, scroll down to Properties, and go ahead and open it. If I click 90 from here, it would rotate at 90 degrees. All right. As you can see, it moved it, which is perfectly fine. As long as they're both still selected, I'm going to drag them so that they intersect with the box and they are center. All right, you can see now that it is center. What that means is that the distance up here is the same as the distance here, here, and here. All right, so now we have a perfect square. These two sides now overlap these two sides. We're going to take that as this is the slot that fits into this piece. All right, so we're going to leave that alone for right now. I want you to zoom back out for me and kind of move the page up. All right. Now what we're going to do is create sides. For a square box, you only need to create one side and copy it 4 times. I'll show you how. We're going to go ahead and click the bottom one. Again, holding down Option or Alt-Shift, dragging down to create a copy. Drop it right about there. What I'm going to do now is create this side. I'm going to create the height of the box. I want my box to be 3.5 inches high. So what I'm going to do, with this selected, I'm going to come over. I'm going to look at my set reference point. I'm going to pick the middle bottom one. What that means is when I do anything to this box in this dialog box, it is going to change the box from this point. So that means now when I resize the height, this box will grow up from this base. Again, if I click the middle, it will grow out from the middle. So that means this will move and that will move. But for right now, I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to click the bottom one. All right. The height right now is set to the width of my material. I don't need that. I want it to be 3.5. So I'm going to add 3.5 and hit enter. As you can see, the box grew. Now you can see what the side of my box is going to look like. All right. In order to create slots, I need to create a slotted area on either side of this to accept the other side. I'm going to go ahead and cross and grab a guide. So go to your left ruler, click and drag. I'm going to drag this across until my cursor rolls over that anchor, and I'm going to let go. What that did is it placed that guide right on that edge. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So now what we know is that in order to create slots in this side to accept these, they need to be on the outside, the right side of this guide, and the left side of this guide. Slots are pretty simple. All right, what we're going to do is we're just going to recreate this box, again using Option, Alt, Shift, and pull it across until it lines up with that edge. As you can see now, this right side is now lined up with that guide because it's snapping to it. I'm going to come back over to my Properties palette and my Set Reference Point. I'm going to click on the right middle. So now when I resize this box, the right side is going to stay where it is and the left side is going to move in. Again, I already know that the width of my material is 0.119. Whatever yours is, go ahead and enter it. So I'm going to enter 0.119. When I hit enter, the box will shrink to the size that I've just given it. All right, so what that means is this side moved in. So now, this area right here, if you were looking at the side of the box, is the part jutting out at you from that side. And this is this right here. All right, let's create another one. So we're going to hold down, click on it, hold down Option, Shift, drag it across, line it up with this one right here. Now we have the two sides that are sticking out. When I create slots, I like to create the half and half method. So what that means is half the slot is half the width of the box. So I'm going to click on both of these rectangles. I'm going to come up to my middle handle. I'm going to drag down. Now this is going to resize these two pieces from the top down. It's not going to change the width of them, it's just the height. So we're going to drag down with our smart guides until I see it line up with that line and let go. Now what I've done is I've created two slots. These two slots are exactly half the distance of this box. Let's verify that they're on top by clicking on them. I already know they are, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Right click, arrange, bring to front. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to subtract these from this space. And what that'll do is create the slot. So making sure my guides are locked, because if I don't, I will select them as well. I want to drag across and select all three pieces. All right. Coming over to your Properties palette again, scroll down until you see Pathfinder. I want to go to the minus front option, which is the second one in. I'm going to click this, and when I do, you'll notice that the two slot rectangles are now cut out of the back. If I were to create 4 of these, just print 4 of these, I could put this together as a box. But what we need to do is we need to create space for the base to slot into this, otherwise it would fall apart. So what I want to do is I want to kind of move my board a little bit to the left. I'm going to click on this one side. I'm going to, Option, Alt, Shift again, drag across. All right, so now I have 2 sides. This side is going to slot into this. In order to do that, I'm going to flip it. So what I want to do is come over to my palette, my properties palette, and I'm going to flip it along the vertical axis, which means top to bottom. All right, there we go. So now we have one side that slots in to the other side. All right. Okay, so we know this is the base. We don't need these reference points anymore, so I'm going to delete them. They were there for guides to help. All right, so now what we have is we have our base, or a bottom of our box, and then we have our 2 sides. What we need to do now is create tabs on this box to fit into these sides. So what I want to do is come over, hit my rectangle tool, come back across. All right, we already know that this box is 3 by 3. I like to create my tabs so that they're exactly half the width of a box. So we already know it's 3. I'm going to make my tabs 1.5 inches wide. The height is already set because that is the height of my material. Hit OK. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this back, and I'm going to drag it into place on that line, and I'm going to move it until it hits center. All right. Now, if I were to merge these 2 together, this would then become the tab of the bottom. But we need to create some more. So let's copy these. Clicking on it, Option Shift, slide up until it centers. All right, so that's 2 sides. So if I were to cut a hole in this, it would fit into here on both front and back. But in order to keep the box together without glue, I need to create them on this side too. So let's grab both of these, Option Shift, drag them out. I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees. Now, again, you could use your properties palette, or you could just rotate them by holding down Shift and pulling up on them. And that rotates them 90 degrees. Let's slide them back until they meet. And as you can see, with my smart guides, it tells me that I am perfectly centered from top to bottom, and I am perfectly centered from left to right. Okay, so there are our slots. Now what we need to do is we need to create the slots in these bases to accept this. So let's grab one. Let's drag it down, holding Option Shift, till it meets the bottom. All right. We already know that it's centered, as you can see. But what I need to do is I need to create some space on the bottom. Because if I cut this out now, the only way to get this box to go together would be to have to glue this. So I want to give some space underneath, some material to hold it in. So the way I do that is by holding down Shift and clicking on the object. We're going to move it up. You don't have to hold down Option. We're not creating a copy. We're just moving it. So I'm moving it up until you see intersect. So what that did is it moved the box so that it lined up with the top of the space before. All right. So now I know that this material on the bottom is the same width as this. And that gives it a nice little base so that it won't punch out. Now, we have 4 tabs, so we need another set over here. So let's grab this, move it across, until we hit center, which is right there, and let go. Okay, now we need to cut these pieces out of this side. So let's highlight these, come across the Pathfinder. We're going to minus the front again. Now this is now cut out of this. Let's do the same for here. Come down to Pathfinder, minus the front. Now this is cut out of here. All right. So now let's go up to the box. We need to add these tabs to this base by selecting all 5 pieces. That's the 4 tabs and the center. We're going to come over to our Pathfinder tool, and we're going to come down to Unite, which is the first one, and we're going to click it. Once I do that, it then merges all these pieces together and creates one piece. All right, so let's zoom out and let's see what we have. So now we have the bottom and then 2 sides. All right, so obviously it's a box. I need 2 more sides. So I'm going to go ahead and select these 2, holding down Option and Shift, and I'm going to drag across. Now we have all 4 sides of the box and the base. Let's set this up for printing. So I'm going to drag it across. I'm just going to place this wherever. I'm going to move these up until they kind of are where I want them. Again, you can take more care in this. For our purposes today, I just want to cut it out. Also, when you are setting boxes up and you're using wood that has wood grain, be aware of how things are cut. If I were to cut this right now, the wood grain on the board is running from right to left. So that means the wood grain on the box is then running from right to left. If you wanted the wood grain to be running vertical, then you would just rotate this 90 degrees. Now when it was cut, the wood grain would be running from top to bottom of the box. All right, I don't really need that. All right, let's save this as an SVG to print. So we're going to do a save as, which is Command or Control Shift S. It'll bring up my box. So I'm going to save this as a simple box SVG. All right, so this brings up my SVG options dialog box. I want it to be SVG 1.1. The type is SVG. Subsetting is none. Options, I want to embed. You do not have to click Preserve Illustrator Editing Capabilities. You will not have a problem editing this again. You can leave this the way it is right now for the advanced options unless you know how to code CSS. And the other thing that you want to make sure of is that responsive is not clicked. If you click responsive, it will change the size when it goes into the Glowforge UI. All right, so we're all set here. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. We have just saved our box. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Glowforge UI. I already have it set up. I already have Medium Draft Board set. I am using MDF, but I know that Medium Draft Board does cut on this. Let's go ahead and add our artwork. I'm going to do an upload. I'm going to grab my simple box, and I am going to upload it. I'm sure you all know how to do this already. All right. So obviously it puts it into the window. I want to move it so that I am not cutting off the board. Set it up, ready to go. Let's hit print. It does take a few moments for it to calculate what the print time is going to be. I would also make sure that everything is set where you want it. You could even right now rotate and alter things in this UI. But for right now, I'm set. So I'm going to go ahead and hit print. I will go ahead and show you the image of the box once it's completed. You will have seen that on the front end. If there is something else that you guys would like to see, please let me know. I can show you how to pretty much do anything in Illustrator. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk with you soon.